The wind unleashed its fury across Seattle, tearing through the city with violent precision. Rain fell like shattered glass against Mason Sullivan's windshield as he navigated the slick streets near Pike Place Market. His eyes burned from exhaustion, the weight of a 14-hour workday pressing against his shoulders. At 38, the architect had mastered the art of endurance, designing spaces for others, while his own life remained carefully structured around loss. Lightning split the sky, illuminating two figures huddled beneath the awning of a closed cafe, a man clutching a small boy, both drenched and trembling. Something in the man's posture, the protective curve of his body around the child, the desperation etched into his silhouette, made Mason's foot find the brake before his mind could object. He pulled over, rain instantly soaking through his jacket as he stepped out. The stranger looked up, revealing dark circles beneath eyes that held a peculiar mix of pride and despair. The boy in his arms whimpered softly, his blonde hair plastered against his forehead. "You both need to get somewhere warm." Mason called over the howling wind. "I'm heading home. I can drive you wherever you need to go." The man hesitated, clutching the child tighter. "We're fine," he said, voice cracking on the lie. Then the boy coughed, a harsh, rattling sound that seemed to crack the man's resolve. Mason noticed the scrubs beneath the man's thin jacket. "You're a nurse," a nod. "Alex Rivera," he nodded toward the child. "This is Noah. I'm Mason Sullivan. My house is 15 minutes from here. I've got a 7-year-old son at home with my neighbor. At least let me get you both out of this storm." Another flash of lightning made the decision. Alex nodded, defeat and gratitude mingling in his expression. In the warmth of the car, Noah's coughing subsided. Alex stared straight ahead, dignity wrapped around him like armor. "We were evicted this morning," he finally said, voice stripped of emotion. "Hospital downsized, eliminated 15 nursing positions, including mine." His hands trembled slightly. "Noah has asthma. His medication. It's not cheap." Mason navigated the flooded streets, memories of his own desperate days surfacing. 4 years ago, he'd sat in his car outside the hospital, learning his husband David wouldn't survive the night, wondering how he would raise their son alone while drowning in medical debt. As Mason's house came into view, modest but sturdy in the Capitol Hill neighborhood, Alex exhaled. "One night," he whispered, more to himself than to Mason. "Then we figure something out." Neither man realized this rainy Tuesday would become the beginning of everything. That sometimes saving someone else is exactly how you save yourself. If this story stirs something in your heart, subscribe to Heart Stories, where we remind you that second chances often arrive in unexpected packages. And that family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about who stays when the storm hits hardest. Eleanor Hughes answered Mason's door before he could find his keys, her 70-year-old frame surprisingly quick despite the hour. Her eyes widened at the sight of Alex and Noah, but she asked no questions, simply gathering her belongings with the quiet efficiency of someone who recognized need when she saw it. "Jackson's been asleep for an hour," she whispered, giving Mason's arm a gentle squeeze before slipping past them into the rain. The house welcomed them with its warm glow walls painted in soft blues and grays, shelves lined with architecture books and framed photos, toys neatly stacked in wooden crates. Nothing extravagant, yet everything intentional. A home rebuilt after catastrophe. Mason disappeared briefly, returning with towels and clothes. "Bathroom's down the hall," he said, handing them to Alex. "Take your time." While Alex and Noah changed, Mason checked on Jackson, finding his son curled around a stuffed dinosaur, comic book still open on his chest. He adjusted the blanket, studying the face that mirrored David's in sleep, the same dark curls, the same slight furrow between the brows. In the kitchen, Mason prepared tea, the familiar routine steadying his hands. When Alex emerged, Noah wrapped in a too large t-shirt borrowed from Jackson. Mason gestured to the table. Steam rose from 2 mugs like ghosts between them. 6 years at Cedar Falls General, Alex began, his voice low to avoid waking the children. Single parent since Noah was born. His fingers curled around the mug. His mother was my best friend. Car accident when he was 3 months old. No family to take him. I couldn't let him enter the system. The adoption had been finalized just last month. A victory followed swiftly by the layoff notice. The money ran out last week. Alex continued. Landlord changed the locks this morning. 4 shelters, all full. Mason's throat tightened with recognition. 4 years ago, he started, the words unfamiliar after so long unspoken. My husband David was diagnosed with brain cancer, stage 4. By the time they found it, he swallowed hard. We tried everything, sold everything, the house, our savings, maxed out credit cards. Alex's hand moved instinctively across the table. 18 months fighting, and I still lost him. Mason's voice roughened. Left me with a 3-year-old who didn't understand why Papa wasn't coming home, and medical bills I'm still paying off. The kitchen fell silent except for the rhythm of rain against windows. 2 strangers connected by parallel losses, by the weight of raising children alone in a world that offered no pauses for grief. The office is small, Mason said finally, but the futon folds out. You'll stay here until you find something better. You don't know me, Alex protested weakly. I know enough, Mason replied, the certainty in his voice surprising them both. I know what it's like when the floor drops out from under you, when there's nowhere left to turn. The following morning, Jackson discovered Noah in the living room. Rather than confusion, his face lit with delight. Dad, there's a kid in our house. Over pancakes, Mason's only culinary specialty. The children bonded instantly over superhero preferences and Lego techniques. Jackson proudly showed Noah his dinosaur collection while the adults watched, something warm and unfamiliar expanding in their chests. When Eleanor returned that afternoon, she brought a business card. My friend James Chen is chief of pediatrics at Harborview. They're looking for experienced nurses. Her eyes twinkled. I might have mentioned you already. As days stretched into weeks, the temporary arrangement softened into something neither man had anticipated. The house, once an echoing reminder of Mason's loss, gradually filled with new sounds, Noah's giggles, Alex's humming as he prepared dinner, the chaotic energy of 2 boys building forts from sofa cushions. In helping Alex rebuild, Mason found himself remembering how to live rather than merely survive. Sometimes healing doesn't come from focusing on your own wounds, but from helping someone else bandage theirs. And sometimes, family isn't what you're born into, but what you build together from the broken pieces life leaves behind. 2 months transformed their careful arrangement into a delicate rhythm. Alex secured the position at Harborview, his scrubs now hanging alongside Mason's dress shirts in the laundry room. The boys shared Jackson's bunk beds, their whispered secrets in midnight laughter, creating a brotherhood neither had expected. The house exhaled, as if relieved to be fully occupied again. Mason found himself lingering in the kitchen each evening, watching Alex prepare dinner, admiring the same hands that saved lives at the hospital, now carefully chopping vegetables or checking homework. They moved around each other with the unconscious grace of dancers learning a new routine, passing coffee mugs in the morning, trading knowing glances when the boys attempted to negotiate later bedtimes. During movie nights, they sat at opposite ends of the sofa, a careful distance maintained even as their laughter synchronized. Mason caught himself studying Alex's profile in the blue light of the television, the strong line of his jaw, the slight crinkle around his eyes when he smiled, then quickly looked away when Alex turned. Neither mentioned the growing tension, the electricity that occasionally sparked when their fingers brushed while washing dishes, the lingering eye contact that left both breathless. Mason hadn't felt this kind of awakening since college, before David. Alex had never acknowledged such feelings for any man. The fragile peace fractured on a Wednesday when Patricia Winters from Child Protective Services arrived for a scheduled home visit to check on Noah's adoption placement. Her sharp eyes cataloged the living arrangement, her pen scratching notes as she interviewed Alex. "And your relationship with Mr. Sullivan is?" she asked. Eyebrow arched. Alex froze. He's my landlord. And friend. Her eyes narrowed slightly. I see, and this living situation is permanent. For now, Alex replied, the uncertainty in his voice painful to Mason's ears. Later that night, after the boys were asleep, Alex paced the kitchen. I can't risk Noah's adoption. If they think the environment is unstable, is that what we are unstable? Mason's voice was soft but steady. Alex stopped, his shoulders tight. I don't know what we are, Mason. He gestured helplessly. This wasn't supposed to happen. Mason stepped closer. What wasn't? These feelings. The words hung between them, fragile and exposed. I was married to a woman. I have a son. So do I, Mason replied. Having a son and having feelings for a man aren't mutually exclusive. Before Alex could respond, Mason's phone rang. His mother's voice bubbled through the speaker, announcing she and his father were flying in from Boston next week. Their first visit in 4 years, since before David's diagnosis. The following days brought additional complications. Mason's architecture firm faced backlash over his community-centered design from a conservative neighborhood association. Meanwhile, Noah came home with a split lip, having defended himself against classmates who mocked him for having 2 dads. Alex retreated, spending extra hours at the hospital, his absence a physical ache in the household. Mason threw himself into work, sketching late into the night, the distance between them widening despite sharing the same roof. Eleanor, witnessing their struggle, invited them both to dinner, over homemade lasagna. She shared stories from her years marching for LGBTQ rights in the 1980s. Photographs spread across her dining table, younger Eleanor with short gray hair, arms linked with friends before rainbow flags. You think you're the first family to navigate these waters? She asked, serving apple pie. Love has always required courage. The question is whether what you might build together is worth facing the storm. On his way home, Mason passed Dr. James Chen leaving the hospital. The doctor stopped him with a gentle hand on his shoulder. Alex is exceptional with our patients, he said, but I see how he looks when he mentions you and Jackson. He paused. Some of us spend years denying parts of ourselves out of fear. Sometimes it takes the right person to make us brave enough to be whole. The truth emerged gradually from these conversations. Like spring after the harshest winter, building a family isn't just about finding people who fit perfectly into your life, but about creating space for imperfect people to grow together. The most meaningful connections often come not when we're at our strongest, but when we're vulnerable enough to admit we need each other, not just to survive, but to become who we were always meant to be. Thanksgiving arrived with cold clarity. Seattle's skyline obscured by morning fog, while Mason prepared the turkey with mechanical precision. His parents were due to arrive by noon. The house gleamed from Alex's nervous energy. Floors scrubbed, surfaces polished, pillows arranged with military exactness. They don't know about us, Mason explained, avoiding Alex's eyes. They barely accepted David. After he died, we hardly spoke. Alex nodded, understanding the unspoken request today. They would be roommates, nothing more. The knife in his hand paused over the carrots. What are we, Kitty? Mason, really? Before Mason could answer, the doorbell rang. Margaret and William Sullivan stood stiffly on the porch, their Boston formality at odds with Seattle's casual atmosphere. Their eyes widened at the sight of Alex and Noah, unexpected additions to the family portrait they'd imagined. This is unexpected, Margaret commented, her smile tightening as she surveyed the home her son had built without them. William's handshake lingered a moment too long when greeting Alex, as if assessing him. And your Masons. Tenant, the meal proceeded with surface pleasantries stretched thin over deeper currents. Jackson chattered excitedly about school, while Noah remained unnaturally quiet, sensing the tension. When Noah accidentally spilled his juice, William's exasperated sigh sliced through the room. Perhaps children should eat separately, he suggested, looking pointedly at Alex. Noah stays, Mason said firmly, his hand finding Alex's knee beneath the table. We eat as a family here. The word hung in the air. Family. Margaret's fork clattered against her plate. Family, William repeated, his voice dangerously soft. Is that what this is? Mason first David. Now, he gestured toward Alex. When will you stop this phase and give Jackson a proper home? Dad, Mason started. A proper home, Alex interrupted, surprising everyone, including himself. Jackson has a proper home with people who love him, who see him, who help him remember his papa while giving him space to be happy again. Margaret's face flushed. You have no right. He has every right. Mason cut in, reaching for Alex's hand openly now. He's part of our lives, our family. William stood abruptly. We didn't come here for this. No, Mason replied, the weight of years lifting from his voice. You came expecting me to still be broken, but I'm not. I'm building something new, something real. After his parents left, the house fell silent. Alex touched Mason's shoulder gently. I'm sorry. Don't be. Mason turned, eyes bright with unshed tears and unexpected clarity. For 4 years, I've been half alive, going through motions. Then you and Noah arrived, drenched and desperate, and suddenly there was color again. He took a breath. I love you, Alex, both of you, and I'm tired of pretending otherwise. Their first kiss tasted of Thanksgiving spices and salt, tentative at first, then deepening with the relief of finally acknowledging what had grown between them. When they parted, 2 wide-eyed boys stood in the doorway, Jackson grinning and Noah's face alight with cautious hope. The following week brought Patricia's final adoption review. She arrived with a folder thicker than before, her expression unreadable. There have been concerns, she began, about the stability of Noah's environment given recent developments. Alex's hand found Mason's, gripping tightly. However, she continued, I've received letters from Dr. Chen, Eleanor Hughes, and Noah's teacher, all attesting to the exceptional care and support he receives here. Her professional mask softened slightly. In my 20 years doing this job, I've learned that stability isn't about traditional structures. It's about consistent love and safety. She closed her folder. Congratulations, Mr. Rivera. The adoption is finalized. That weekend, they attended their first Seattle Pride Parade as a family. Noah on Mason's shoulders and Jackson holding Alex's hand, their small quartet joining Eleanor and Dr. Chen among thousands celebrating love in all its forms. The boys wore rainbow face paint, waving small flags with the exuberance only children possess. Is this real? Alex whispered, watching their sons dance ahead through confetti-strewn streets. Mason squeezed his hand. The most real thing I've known since David died, maybe ever. Sometimes the greatest act of courage isn't facing the world's judgment, but allowing yourself to believe in happiness again after devastating loss. And sometimes the family that heals you isn't the one you were born into, but the one you choose to build from the wreckage of what was lost, creating something stronger precisely because it was once broken. Spring blossoms transformed the Space Needle's base into a carpet of pink and white. Mason adjusted Noah's bow tie beneath the iconic Seattle landmark. 1 year had passed since that rain-soaked night, a year of gradual healing, of paperwork and permissions, of learning to navigate a love neither had expected to find. Are you nervous, Dad? Jackson asked, his own tie slightly crooked. Mason smiled at the question, at the easy way both boys now moved between calling them both Dad. A little, he admitted, but the good kind of nervous. The rooftop ceremony space filled with their carefully cultivated family, Eleanor, in a lavender dress that matched her hair, Dr. Chen with his husband, Mason's colleagues from the architecture firm, Alex's fellow nurses. In the back row, surprising everyone, sat Mason Sullivan, alone but present, her expression a complex mixture of uncertainty and determination. When Alex appeared with Noah beside him, Mason's breath caught. They walked the short aisle together, father and son, until they formed a circle with Mason and Jackson, four broken pieces that somehow fit perfectly together. "We gather today," the officiant began, "to celebrate not just the union of Mason and Alex, but the creation of a family built on choice rather than obligation." Their vows, simple and honest, acknowledged the journey that had brought them here. "You taught me that grief isn't something to overcome," Mason said, voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes, "but something to honor by living fully again. You and Noah didn't just find shelter in our home, you brought it back to life." Alex's fingers tightened around Mason's. "I spent years believing I knew exactly who I was, defining myself by what I thought was expected. You showed me that love doesn't fit into neat categories. That family is about who stays, who chooses you every day, even when it's difficult." The boys presented the rings, their small hands careful with the precious symbols. As Mason and Alex exchanged bands, Jackson high-fived Noah, drawing laughter from the guests. At the reception, Margaret approached tentatively, her usual Boston reserve softened by something new, perhaps understanding, perhaps simply acceptance. "He would have approved," she said quietly to Mason, nodding toward a photo of David they'd placed on the memorial table. "Your husband. He would have wanted you to be happy." Later that evening, the four of them stood on the observation deck, Seattle spread beneath them like a blanket of stars. The community center Mason had designed was visible in the distance, its rainbow lights a beacon in the neighborhood that had once opposed it. "Look," Noah pointed to where Alex's name now appeared on the Pediatric Wings donor wall, the result of a grant program they'd established for families of children with chronic conditions like Noah's asthma. From devastation, they had built not just a family, but a legacy, changing their corner of the world through small, deliberate acts of courage. On the drive home, Mason glanced in the rearview mirror at their sons, both asleep against each other. Jackson's arm protectively around Noah's shoulders. Alex's hand rested on Mason's thigh, the simple touch conveying everything words couldn't. "Did you ever imagine," Alex whispered, "that night in the rain, that we'd end up here?" Mason shook his head. "I was just trying to get through one more day. And now I'm looking forward to every single one." Have you ever found family in unexpected places? Someone who arrived in your life during your darkest moment and somehow became your brightest light? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Subscribe to Heart Stories for more journeys that remind us how love arrives in the most unexpected packages, and that sometimes our greatest chapters begin on the nights we think everything is ending.